You had Ken Dorsey and Matt Canada, offensive coordinators, both fired this week. What is going on with these offensive coordinators? These teams are pulling the plug on these guys super quick. I do not remember times in the past where they made decisions like this on coaches this quickly, especially offensive coordinators, because you mess up the flow of the team, who's calling the plays, the realistic game plan that you have going into a particular week or game or an opponent. All of that goes into play when the guy that's pulling the trigger, the guy that's actually writing the plays and creating the playbook, when you get rid of him. So you have to hope that the guy that you are bringing up to replace him can handle the gig. That's not always the case. And it's not as simple as just getting the sheet and calling the plays off the sheet. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of preparation. And I'll say it again, everybody is not necessarily up to the task to do that job. Head coaches have tried to do it, doesn't always work too well. When you're in a situation like that, with as many things that go on in an NFL game, your focus needs to be hypersensitive, and really you need to be in a situation where you got one job and you can focus on that one job. The reason why it's so difficult for a lot of head coaches to be a coordinator as well is because you got to regulate the team. You're the head coach. Everything comes by you. And for some people, they can't be the head coach and the coordinator. It's a very difficult task. So if you have someone that's pretty good at their job at offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, whatever the situation is, and they're not getting the job done, what do you do next? The situation with Ken Dorsey in Buffalo, that was Josh Allen's fault, in my opinion. They didn't practice throwing interceptions and picks and fumbles and all of that kind of stuff. They don't practice that during the week. And then you got Matt Canada. That situation is a little different. The reason why it's so surprising in Pittsburgh is because the last time Pittsburgh fired an offensive coordinator, it was a long time ago. Pittsburgh has a reputation of keeping its coaches on the payroll for a long time. They are known for keeping that unit together. They might have some type of turnover with coaches, but nothing like firing coaches and bringing somebody else. They usually don't do that in season. Not in season. Pittsburgh has a sparkling reputation for keeping their coaches in place. So it'll be interesting to see who's going to pick up the pace, pick up that slack and replace him. And at the end of the day, are they going to do a better job? Because it always comes down to, is it the guy calling the plays or is it the guy taking the snap? You really got to watch film and figure out what's going on. In the case of Ken Dorsey in Buffalo, in my opinion, it was definitely the guy taking the snap. Josh Allen was making bad decisions, putting the ball on the ground, throwing picks. Offensive coordinator can't do anything about that. The first 4 games of the season, he wasn't doing that, and everything was rosy. Then it's good until it isn't. Matt Canada, their struggles in Pittsburgh have been all year, although Pittsburgh has been winning games. Is it because of him or in spite of him? Which way is it? So to get to that point, especially in a place like Pittsburgh, there had to be a lot of internal meetings. And for Pittsburgh to make this decision in the middle of the season when they are in prime position to make a playoff run says a lot to what was going on inside the locker room. There's somebody in that organization that really didn't like what was going on. Were they in a situation where they were going to possibly lose the locker room? I don't know. I'm not that close to the situation in Pittsburgh, but something must have happened because Pittsburgh doesn't fire coaches. I don't think people understand that. Pittsburgh doesn't do that. So it must have been like on a razor's edge what was going on. Usually in a situation like that, you got a team or a coach that's about to lose the locker room. And when you lose the locker room, that literally means your players have zero faith in what you're doing. You can lose the locker room as a player, you can lose the locker room as a coach, and you can lose the team as a owner. In this situation, I am guessing that the offense had zero confidence in Matt Canada. And Mike Tomlin had to make a move or the GM or the owners were seeing the situation for what it is and felt like they had to make a move, because it makes no sense for a team to get rid of the guy that's been running the show the whole time. That makes no sense. So you better have a daggone good reason to make that move. Whoever's replacing him, the onus is now on you. Because if you step in and you're calling the plays and you get the same results, then who are you going to look at? Now it's falling on the head coach, possibly the GM, whoever made that decision. So it's very interesting to see what's going on. Coaches are falling by the wayside. We don't know what's going to happen until next week. So be very attentive to the Buffalo game next week when they come to Philadelphia. And also, let's watch what's going to happen in Pittsburgh.